If you fish from a kayak, this is the crate you need to build. It's tough, organized, and way cheaper than anything else you're gonna find in the stores. Plus, it's easy to build. You can knock it out in one afternoon. And in this video, I'm gonna walk you through the whole thing. But first, dad joke of the day, what kind of hair do oceans have? Wavy. And that dad joke is brought to us by Tim over at the Facebook group Kayak Fishing Dads. I posted a video several years ago creating a DIY crate. However, this one's gonna have more bells and whistles. Additional storage, like a way to store your catch board, additional storage on the outside for pliers, cutters, extra things that you take with you on the water, and just overall be a little bit more functional. All right, let's talk about what we need for this build. First and foremost, obviously, you're gonna need some crates. So for this build, I'm gonna use 3 crates. However, you can use 2 just fine, and I'll walk you through how to use 2. So the idea for the crates is we're gonna have the bottom crate that holds all of your tackle, your batteries, your goods, whatever it is. These are your standard 12-inch or so by 12-inch square crates, okay? We're gonna have one on top, and we're gonna cut this one down right here at the bottom and use this top portion as a storage, additional storage. And then we're gonna create a hinge so it's kind of have a hinge and open up like a lid just like that. But we're not gonna stop there. We have, like I said, a 3rd crate, and we are gonna cut the very bottom of this crate and use this as a lid for the top storage area. And then that's gonna be hinged as well with some bungees and stuff like that. So we'll walk through it. It's gonna look really cool. So obviously we need the crates. We're also gonna need some rod holders. You can make rod holders out of PVC pipe if you'd like. That's totally fine. I like these rod holders because they look great, they come made, and honestly, I mean, I don't feel like making the other ones. So I've been using these for a long time, and everything I'm talking about, by the way, I'm gonna have a link down below so you guys can check it out. So we have this triple rod holder. We have this pencil case that we're gonna put on there, and that's gonna be for additional storage outside of the crate. Things to note is that the grommets are on top of the pencil case. A lot of the pencil cases, it's situated like this, and what happens is then everything falls out when you open it. And we'll need some bungees. Any style bungees, if you have any laying around, will probably be fine. Make sure you have a couple of the hooks because that's what we're gonna use for our closures as well. You'll also need zip ties. So I got a bunch of 7-inch black zip ties. I do prefer black because they last longer in the sun. The sun doesn't beat them up as much as the clear zip ties. So just regular 7-inch zip ties is fine, and a little snipper to cut them. Now, tools that we need, very simple. A jigsaw would make this a lot easier. So an electric jigsaw like this. However, if you just have a little hacksaw or a handsaw, this plastic can be cut with a hacksaw just fine. You also need a drill with some titanium drill bits or whatever drill bits. Honestly, they don't have to be titanium. So some drill bits, and that's gonna be mostly for drilling the holes for the zip ties. And lastly, just some sandpaper, and that's gonna be to clean up the edges after we cut the crate with the jigsaw. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna cut the top storage part off of the first crate to put on top of the other crate. When you cut into this, use some safety glasses. In lieu of safety glasses, I got some cool native eyewear that we're gonna rock. And now you got your top storage. And now when you stack these, it's a little bit closer to what it's actually gonna look like, and it's gonna hinge just like that. So next we're gonna cut the bottom of the 3rd crate to put it on the top, and that's gonna serve as a lid to the lid. All right, we have all 3 of our crates prepped. So we got our main crate, again, for all your main storage. We didn't do anything to this one. Then we have the bottom part that we cut out, and this is gonna be the top section, top storage. Then you have your 3rd crate, which is essentially just the bottom, and then we're gonna put it right here to have a lid. This is gonna open, giving you access to the top compartment, and then the top compartment is gonna open, giving you access to the bottom compartment. So some of my cuts are not extremely even. That's okay. You could always go over it again, either with a grinder, with some sandpaper. You can go over it with the jigsaw again, no biggie. But what you're gonna wanna do is take your sandpaper to clean up some of the edges so that you won't cut yourself later on. Now the next part is just adding the hinges. So first we're gonna add the hinges onto the top compartment. This is where your drill bit comes into play. I got a 1/4 inch drill bit. If you don't have exactly a 1/4 inch, that's okay. You just want it enough where the zip ties can come through it and they're still snug, not too loose. So we'll add about 4 holes along the top, as evenly spaced as you want. Again, not a big deal if they're not evenly spaced. And then we'll attach our zip ties and that part will be done. And with that same sandpaper, you could just hit the ends of your zip tie so you don't nick yourself. You can also use a little lighter, which was actually a tip from a viewer from my last video, and I love that idea. But see, now you have your hinges on here, opens up, so you get about a 90-degree open, so it doesn't stay open. If you wanted to do that, you could bring the holes in a little bit tighter, so when we do it on the bottom, you're actually gonna see that it'll stay open. All right, so you see the 4 holes I drilled along the lid and also just beneath it into the bottom crate. So the zip tie is gonna go in the bottom, out the top, and then come together. All right, we're flying through this. We have the hinges with the zip ties in place. So we got our top lid with the hinge right there. And you can loosen these up a little bit too. So I was just thinking about it. I might have over tightened these. So if you loosen them up a little bit, you might be able to get it to stay open. And then for the bottom one, just like I showed you, 4 along the top, 4 along the bottom, and then it opens up just like that. So this one does stay open. Again, if you want to loosen it up so that it swings open and stays open even wider, then you can do that too. But look at this, we got the skeleton already. I mean, we'll be done with this in no time. Next thing we're gonna do is add these handy dandy rod tubes to the crate. And you know how we're gonna do it? Zip ties. These rod holders have some cutouts that we can use to loop over the zip ties into the crate. And since the crate already has places to attach, it's gonna be real easy to do that. And just like that, it's attached to the crate. All I did was use 2 zip ties. You can use more, you can drill holes if you want to, but honestly, 2 zip ties I think will hold this on just fine. Now we need a way to keep this bad boy closed when we lift up the lids, because you don't want to get into this bottom compartment, have a bunch of stuff on the top, and it spills out. You don't want this flapping open either. So this is where one of the bungees comes into play, and we're going to use both hooks. What we're going to do is drill 2 holes into this top compartment. One for a bungee to come and latch down to keep the top shut, and one to come down and latch down to keep the bottom shut. For this, I'm going to use a 3/8 inch drill bit, which looks to be pretty close to the bungee. And obviously your bungee cord thickness will probably vary, so just look at the bungee cord and see if it fits. Now it's just a matter of measuring how much you're going to need. So first of all, we're going to clip off one of these sides here. All right, so we cut the bungee in half. So we're gonna put it right into the hole as such. So you see, this was gonna be the one that comes up and closes this top compartment nice and tight. So we just have to measure how much bungee we need. So we're gonna tie a knot in here so that way it doesn't come out, and we don't want too much in there, and then you're gonna have a bunch of bungee hanging and you don't want it too loose. However, if it is a little looser, you can just pull it a little tighter. I mean, you have a lot of space to work with here. Easy peasy. Now that stays shut. You do have a little bit of extra bungee in there, which we'll just cut right off. So as you can see right here, I got that knot. So I got all this extra. I'll probably cut it right here. And then you can even burn the edge of the bungee as well if you'd like. That way it doesn't get all peely like this with the fabric. But it's not a big deal. And now we're gonna do the same exact thing to fasten the top compartment to the bottom compartment to keep it locked in place except instead of tying it upwards, we're gonna tie it downwards, and we're gonna put it right through the other hole that we made. Same idea. We have this one for the top, we got this one for the bottom, and it'll just tighten up either here or a little bit lower. So just measure where you want it, go in, tie your little knot, and you're good to go. I mean, it is super simple. When I first did this, I used a carabiner, which I think worked great. However, it was usually a two-hand operation. I couldn't fasten it with one hand easily. With this, you could do this one-handed. You know, obviously this will be secured down to your kayak, but you come down and just like that, you got it locked into place. You have this bungee for the big compartment, you have this bungee for the small compartment. If you need to get into the small compartment, easy peasy. If you need to get into the big compartment, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. That's how we do it. We want to keep it simple. And now we're going to use the next bungee, and this is super simple. What we're going to do is we're going to run the bungee from one side and come up and come to the other and make it nice and tight, so that way we could store a catch board, a measuring board, your leader board by Yak Attack. And if you don't have that, you can put other things in there. So with that, any length will work. You're just gonna probably have to cut one end down and tie another knot and make it a little bit more taut, because you definitely don't want it super duper loose. You don't want it super duper tight either, but you don't want it loose where things will just fall right out. So we're just gonna have it come in from one side, loop in, come to the other side, and it's gonna be essentially two pieces of bungee just like that. All right, we have the bungees in place on the side. So I have my 32-inch catch carbonate board. It's pretty long. Most boards are 26 inches. However, you see it fits in there perfectly. So you just have it, again, as taut as you want it to, but you want it so it's not easy to fall out. So you have it right there. And then this still clears just fine. Both of these open, the lids, the compartments open perfectly. So that way you could store your board there. If you want to leash it down too, because it's a crate, you have plenty of leashing points. So you can leash it down. One of the stretchy tethers is perfect for this type of board. And that way you can attach it on here. That way if you ever bump it off, it's not going for a swim. All right, guys, we're on the very last part, and that is the additional storage with the pencil case. Again, you want to get the pencil case with the grommets on the top along with the zipper. Links down below in the description. So since we're using the front of the crate to grab the bungee to lock down the lid, we can't put this on the front. So we're gonna put it on the back. And this is a great spot to put pliers, fish grips, first aid kits, additional little knickknacks, snacks, whatever it is. So that will be right back here, and it's gonna look really clean. So I am gonna drill a couple holes just so that it can line up perfectly. You're gonna want a hole for where the zip tie goes into the grommet, and then one right above it so that we can cinch it down. And there we have it, the best DIY crate known to kayak fishing mankind. Incredibly easy to build. We got the top compartment here for your soft plastic, your extra lures. Of course, clip your extra bungee so it looks neater than this, but you could put so much in here. And on top of that, you could keep it in place with this lid. And then you got your main storage right here for your 3,600 boxes, extra soft plastic, a battery, whatever it is that you want to throw in there to keep organized. You got 3 rod holders right here. You have an additional bungee to hold your catch board, your bump board. If you don't want this on here, you can always throw on another set of rod holders, and then you can hold 6 rods on this bad boy. And then finally on the back, we have our pencil holder for additional tools, pliers, fish grips and such right here. I think this is a really handy build. It's super easy to do, and most of this you already have at home. So let me know in the comments below what you guys would do differently on this build. If you did it, how did it come out? And if you thought this video was helpful, subscribe to the channel and check out this video right here. So until next time, guys, peace and God bless.